Okay, so the purpose of this video is to go through some basic guidelines of the discussion board assignment and to give you an indication of when the assignments are due, how you complete them, and also how you will be graded. So the first thing I'll say is that if you want a short description of this assignment, the place you can go to is the syllabus. And if you go to the assignments area, you'll see right here under the discussion and participation heading is a short description of the points I'm going to go over right now. So first let me just say a little bit about the purpose of this assignment. Because this class is being delivered in an online format, there really isn't an opportunity for live discussion, right? So in a normal face-to-face class setting, I would go through the lecture, we would pause at certain times to discuss the points I was making, and we would continue on. You get that live interaction with students in the class. The online delivery of this course doesn't really offer that, so instead of that, we're going to talk and engage with one another through the discussion boards. Okay, so the purpose is to engender discussion with one another. Now, beyond that, the first thing you'll need to know is when do the discussion boards due? How many do I have to do per week? Where can I find this information? The best place to go is the course schedule on the syllabus. So if we scroll down, here's the course schedule. Here is week 1 where we are currently. And if you go down to assignments, you'll see that one discussion board assignment is due this week. As we're going to talk about shortly, each discussion board assignment requires that you do 2 posts, a first post and a response post. And the syllabus also tells you when each of these is due. So your first post is due at the end of the day on the 20th, and your response post is due by the end of the day on the 21st. Compare that to week 2. If we go down to assignments, you'll see that there are 2 discussion board assignments due this week. Discussion board 2 and discussion board 3, also an indication of when the specific posts for those assignments are due. So if you have any questions about when to turn it in and what discussion boards you're required to complete in any given week, please consult the course schedule. Okay, so you've now heard me use this terminology of a first post and a second post, and you might wonder what that means. So the easiest way to put it is this: your first post is a response to the prompt for that specific discussion board. So the easiest way to do this is probably to take a look where you can find the discussion boards on Blackboard. So here is the discussion boards area. Right now you see I have discussion board 1 and discussion board 4 up. That's just for purposes of showing you for this demonstration. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna hide discussion board 4 again. The discussion boards are going to be released each week as you need them. So when you go onto Blackboard, you're only going to see discussion board 1. Okay, so let's take a look at discussion board 1. And what do we find here? We find 2 different threads. So one of the threads says ask the professor. The other says discussion board 1, question 1. Okay, so when it comes to actually getting credit in completing the assignment, the only posts that are going to count toward that are the ones that you do in the threads labeled like this: discussion board 1, question 1. Some, as we'll see in a moment, some discussion boards will have more than one question you can choose from, and in that case it would be discussion board 1, question 2, question 3, etc., etc. This one only has 1. So that means to complete the assignment, you will need to post in this thread responding to this prompt. So here is the prompt for discussion board 1. Introduce yourself to your classmates, include your name, where you're from, your academic major, ideas about what you might major in, an interesting fact about yourself, and an answer to the following question. What is a question you find interesting you believe would be covered in a philosophy class? What is it about this question that you think makes it philosophical? Okay, so to get credit for discussion board 1, you have to do 2 things. First, you have to do a first post. And what that means is just a response, an initial response to this prompt. So if you make a post responding to everything in this prompt, then that is what you need to do to get credit for the first post. In addition, it is required that the first post is at least 100 words. Alright, so that takes care of half of your assignment for discussion board 1, half of the 10 points that you'll get for discussion board 1. Where does the other half come in? The other half comes in your response post. So a response post is a response that you give to a post either from one of your classmates or myself, the instructor. And there's no word requirement for this, so the main thing is I want to see us engaging with each other. And so in order to do that, it's not enough that you just have a first post responding to the prompt. You also need to make a comment on the post of other people. Now, a quick comment about this, because I think it's very important that we engage with one another, but that we do so in a productive and responsible and respectful way. So when you are responding to another person's points, especially in a philosophy class, of course it's acceptable to pose criticisms, pose questions about the argument or the point that person's making. It's of course acceptable to disagree. In fact, it wouldn't be a philosophy class if we did not disagree. However, I do want to stress that when you are disagreeing with another person's point, it's never about that person, it's never a personal thing. You should never under any circumstances engage in any sort of personal insult or anything of that nature. It's entirely about the ideas, it's about the argument that is being made, and it's important to do that in a way that shows you're not being hostile. You might say, well, here's a point you might think about further, or I think I disagree and here's why, right? So it's never about the person making the post, it's always about the argument or the idea in the post. Okay, but from a nuts and bolts point of view, the basic requirements are you have a response to the prompt that's at least 100 words, and you also have a response to one of your classmates or myself. That's the sort of bare bones requirements. Now, I want to go back for a second. So I showed you discussion board 1. Let's take a look at discussion board 4, which again won't be available till Wednesday, September 2nd, but I just want to show you a difference here. So if you open up discussion board 4, you'll notice that there are 2 discussion questions. So it says discussion board 4 question 1, discussion board 4 question 2. So if we click on 1, we're going to get this prompt. Right? I won't read it for you, but just here's one prompt. And if we go back and click on discussion board 4 question 2, we'll get a different prompt. So you might ask, okay, do I have to respond to both of these prompts? Can I just respond to one? So if there's more than one discussion prompt, more than one discussion question, then you can choose which one you respond to. You're welcome to respond to both if you want, and I'll say more in a little bit about so going above and beyond the call of duty in the discussion boards, but you're only required to do one. So if you choose to respond to discussion board 4 question 2, you can do your first post to this prompt. That's totally fine, and you wouldn't have to do a first post to the first question. After that, the responses that you make to other people, it can be in this thread on this discussion question, it can be in the other one. It doesn't matter. In that case, you can have a different. You can do your response post in a different thread than you do your first post. Okay, but again, remember the basic requirements. Your first post must be at least 100 words, then you need to respond to someone else's post. Now, you'll notice in both of those discussion boards, there was another thread. This one is entitled Ask the Professor. And so what's the purpose of this? So the first thing is, posting in this thread does not count toward your discussion board requirements. This is just an extra space where if you have content questions and you want just a quick, easy way to get an answer. So if you're confused about something in the lesson and you want a quick, easy way to contact me and get an answer, and also in a way that will help others, because if you have this question, it's likely that other people might have it too, you can post it here and I will respond to your content questions. I'll also be posting and responding to students, not every single post, but I'll also be participating in the normal discussion board questions. But this is just an area you can post a specific question you have, and I will answer it as soon as I can. Okay, so that's the nuts and bolts of where to find the discussion boards and how to use them and when they're due. The last thing I want to say is about how you will be graded. So you're going to be graded both on completion and also on the quality of your posts. Okay, so if you meet the basic requirements, that'll be enough to get some points, but it won't be enough to get a full 10 points. What I'll look for when grading the quality of your post is questions of the following sort. Does your post demonstrate you've done a close reading of the text? Are you making detailed points? Are you referring to other points in the text in your post? Or does it just sort of indicate that you maybe did a sort of superfluous reading? Does the post demonstrate you've really thought critically and carefully about the issue? And in terms of your response posts, do you engage with with the other students or myself in a meaningful way, right? Are you just saying, very simply, I agree, disagree? Are you really going into detail, offering new arguments, pushing the discussion forward? That's what I'll look for. So the best discussion board participation will have all those things. They'll evidence close reading, critical thought, and really meaningful engagement with your classmates. Now, in addition, I mentioned that in some cases, some students go above and beyond what I would even expect in the discussion boards, and that could be both in quantity and quality, right? So if you have if you make more posts than is required, and those posts are also quality contributions, right? So just doing a bunch of posts that are mediocre isn't going to get you any further credit. But if you have more posts than is required, and they're really meaningful quality contributions, then I do consider offering extra credit to reward those who are going above and beyond in the way that they're responding to the discussion boards. Okay, so that is basically it in terms of the discussion board assignment. If anything, if you're unsure about anything, if anything I've said here in the directions is unclear, please feel free to contact me, post in the Ask the Professor thread on the discussion boards, shoot me an email, any of those are fine. But in any case, I will stop there. And I hope this video was useful, and I will see you next time.